Welcome to Active in Alaska. I'm Kendall Stewart, and at Active in Alaska, we're focusing on helpful tips from professionals to get our community moving more. Justice is a personal trainer with KGR Fitness Consulting and Training. I sat down with Justice to learn more about what he does and get some ideas on how you can get more active and enjoy this beautiful state. I think I'd like to know, like, your origin story. You know, like, how did you get started? What got you into this field?
Well, as I am, admittingly, I am ADHD, so neurodivergent. I am scatterbrained. I was the class clown, can't sit still. Athletics, activity, outside, basically the Alaskan way, right? Has always been something that I really leaned into. As I got older, it was...
real quick.
Yeah.
How hard was it to sit in, and I deal with the same things you're talking about. How hard was it to sit in class for, 6 hours of the day? I mean, you get a little PE time.
Yeah, I'm surprised I made it through. I think anybody, all my friends and family are happy that I graduated, did
Same.
everything, check the box off the list and stuff. It definitely does not cater too much towards the mentally active and physically active as nearly as much as the academic side of things. But It's necessary. It was one of those things to check off the list. It was difficult, and after getting out of there, it was, man, now I have to pick a job. Now we have to really grow up and do this. So what better thing to get into than health and fitness? I went to UAA for an occupational endorsement certification with fitness leadership.
Okay.
And that gave me the book smarts for, hey, blood pressure and all of the things that you need to kind of confidently start coaching somebody. But really, it's so much separate to that, working with an individual and hearing and being able to customize an exercise program for them. But it gave me the basis to get started. I did work at a local gym here in Alaska for a good amount of years, and it gave me that ability to try and fail and to get better at things and to learn like anybody needs to do. So it was a really good learning process. And then when 2020 came by, the gyms in Anchorage were recommended to close down, and I couldn't sit and twiddle my thumbs for an undetermined amount of time. So I decided to lean into doing my own business. I was not necessarily claiming to be a business owner from 2018 till 2020. I was just doing it as a side hustle.
Gotcha.
When 2020 happened, it was a determining factor of sit around and wait to be told what to do or to be told when to go back to work, or to just offer what I can do to help the community and to continue meeting my clients, change the way that I would operate with working in a gym setting and start working in a home gym setting or an online setting or working outside and in their driveway, and just kind of adapting. And since then, it's really turned into working with individuals that need something different rather than, hey, I've been going to the gym, I just don't feel comfortable, I can't make it, I'm spending money on a gym membership that I'm not actually realizing the benefit of it. I offer something different for those individuals, and it helps them feel like they're not forgotten about. And unfortunately, that's something all too common in the health and fitness industry that I'm a part of. We let people kind of be forgotten about sometimes.
So I guess my question is, for people who are trying to take their first steps, whether you've never been active, whether you have been active and fell off, what do you recommend for them to kind of get started?
Well, without getting too lengthy in the wording, you have to start where you are at.
Okay.
If you are somebody that enjoys walking,
Okay.
and you're hearing outside sources say doing marathons is really healthy, that might be pushing you out of where you're needing to start.
I see what you're saying.
And so one of the best things that someone can do is move at a pace that is sustainable,
Okay.
and in a way that is enjoyable. So if you like dancing, go dance. You dance a little bit when you're there, if you like getting out and hiking, go on walks, and so what that will do, just like that instance that you're saying where you succeeding and having that success with your friend made you want to do more.
Correct.
I encourage people to start with the level 1, getting that in. I'm going to go on a walk 3 times a week. Once you do that, easier thing, you're going to be more likely to adhere to working out 3 times a week, going to a gym, doing something a little out of your comfort zone. There's a principle I like about with comfort and chaos, and it works really well with exercise, to where if I wanted to start and I say I'm going to go crazy into chaos, I'm going to exercise 5 times a week, 2 hours, it's going to hurt me. It might not actually be beneficial.
That's true.
And if I stay in my comfort and say I don't really want to do any of that, that scares me, that might be a little intimidating, I'm never going to change. And so it's about a little bit of chaos. I'm going to go do this thing. I'm going to go to a gym. I'm a little nervous. I've never been to a gym before. So going to the gym itself, I succeed. I'm going to go 1 hour. I'm going to do the treadmill, and then I'm going to come back. Now you've done that. You've gone to the gym. That's no longer a chaotic new thing. When you come home, you rest, you do your comfort, you can go back into the chaos a little deeper, a little further, maybe do something new. So it's this back and forth. So long-winded way of saying, I would encourage someone to start at the level 1, and that's going to be dependent upon the individual. And that's where, even if I don't work with someone on a 3-month basis, I love sitting down and having that individual conversation going, I think this is the thing that you should do. You really like walking, you like getting out and hiking. I think you should try to go on a Sunday hike every week. Go out and maybe hit a flat top, hit a bird ridge, and do that small. And that way, they might not end up working with me. They might not need my personal training sessions. But even having that guidance of where do you start? I would love to do that. But yeah, basically start what is fun and easy to do and slowly progress it over time.
I love that. That's so cool. So we're going to take a quick pause. We got a commercial
sounds
break
good.
coming up, and we'll be right back. All right, we're back. We're at Active Alaska. I'm here with Justice, and we're talking about ways to be active and moving. We're learning a lot about his business. We're learning some great things about how to take your first steps.
Yeah.
So accountability. I want to kind of dig into that a little bit. You know, because I think that having a personal trainer is like having the ultimate accountability partner, you know, because they have the knowledge, they have the experience. And so can you speak to that a little bit, like how you help people to maintain their goals? Because you sit down with them, you do your consultation, and then when you set up a program, like how does that work for accountability? What are results you see from that?
Now, a lot of times when people hear accountability, they go, okay, if I don't do this, they're going to make me do that.
Right.
And I'd avoid that dynamic within coaching.
Okay.
A lot of times it really goes down into the individual's goal and how willing they are to get to that goal. And then a constant reminder over why they're here, and is that still something they're willing to fight for? And then you don't go, hey, you didn't do your burpees, you're a bad person, time to do more.
That's what people are afraid of.
Yeah, and that's where I have a big bone to pick with the health and fitness industry, and one of my burning desires is kind of a sarcastic way of saying I want to fix the health and fitness industry because it has this weird car salesman dynamic to it. So in that sense, getting started the right way with somebody is one of the more important things. Making sure that, and to do it in the right way. Most people are going to come at it with a little bit of their own thoughts of how it's going to do. So I usually let them lead. I don't, even though I am the expert, I let them lead. If they're saying, I don't want to do squats, I don't want to do this, then we work around that.
Okay.
Now, once we make them somewhat in charge of their own reality, then we continue to just say, hey, this is something you agree to. If, let's say, we get the program written up where they want to do 3 days a week and they're wanting to increase their protein a little bit.
Okay.
Rather than going, hey, you didn't do it the right way this day, I like to, in the program itself, give opportunities to report it, give reminders. Now, it seems to be kind of a silly thing in the one day to day, but we go in and we check the box if we did our breakfast. We check the box if we did this.
I like that. That's good.
Now, really, I was just talking this morning to one of my clients about is we go in from the reverse. We go, hey, you want to get to this 1 year goal, and from my expertise and knowing to do this and do that, squat how much, we're going to break it down into monthly, weekly, daily. You should be doing these things.
Right.
You should be drinking some water, getting some protein, eating healthy, and then 3 days a week, maybe exercising, doing this and this one. So we lay that out within the month.
Okay.
And then it's just merely checking off those boxes. Not everyone's human. They're not going to get all the boxes checked off. I'm happy if someone is adhering to something 75, 80%. We have to give time, your bosses, you, yourself, with your children, your spouse, your husbands, your wives. We have to give each other time to be human. And it's the same thing, the same dynamic with me and my clients. They're going to go, man, the grandkids were over. I didn't get to the homework. It's like, yeah, but you were playing with your grandkids, right? It's like, yeah, we ran around. Good. Why would I want to stick it to them? Hey, you weren't accountable to your workout. Then there's the adverse to that, where let's say they're slacking a little bit. And I typically, we'll address those things. But if it's something where, hey, I'm really wanting to do this and they're falling short, it's merely of putting it in their court. Is this still something that you really want to do? Is getting that one pull-up still one of the top of the line things for you? If that's not what we need to be working on right now, what do we need to be working on? Stress relieving. Are you feeling a little overwhelmed? Let's switch the gears. Doing a pull-up maybe is not that important to you anymore.
Yeah.
Maybe getting a healthy routine, healthy family relationships, and I can support you by giving you a fun workout. Maybe rather than kicking your butt, maybe we change it up for today.
Yeah.
So I like to kind of play it off the cuff, kind of play it by ear, but that's what working with a human is. And I think that's where I do set myself aside, where a personal trainer might go, I am perfect, I'm going to hold them to a perfect thing, and they're going to be a perfect client. And there's not much room to be a human within that. And I have a really successful time working with people for a long duration, I think because I give them that space and time to be a real person and still hold them accountable to the goals that they want to do without being mean about it.
Right. And that's, to me, super important because I've worked out in all different capacities. I played football in high school and college, and I've had the yelling coaches, and sometimes it was good. I was going to say, yeah, sometimes it was good where that extra push helped me to get past where I was going. And I think, though, also what you're saying, the gentle piece of the puzzle is cool, too, because when I was in college, I had a definitive thing I needed to do. And now it's like, because it's variable, meaning I don't need to be physically active to the degree that I used to be because it's not a part of my job or whatever, and so I think that it's good that you customize it based on people's needs. But you made me think of something just now. I pictured kids.
Yeah.
I pictured parents with kids who were sitting at home, staring at laptops, staring at computers, and wanting them to get out. And, trying to figure out, how do I get, my kid to be excited and jazzed up about going outside, about being active, we live in one of the most beautiful places in the world. And so, but because technology and because all of the other distractions of life are there, it's easy for people to just hide inside and not get out. And so that's really the purpose of this podcast, is to try to figure out and help people to kind of look at things differently, figure out new strategies. And so what would you recommend for parents who have kids that are kind of unactive, stuck on social media, stuck on gaming? How would you help them to get their kids out and doing stuff?
So it's going to be a hard answer, but it is lead by example.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's a good point.
Like, my girlfriend that I'm with, she has 3 kids. So when we are together as a family and we're doing things, we're doing it with 3 kids, 5 individuals. We're going out to dinner, if we go on hikes and stuff. So I have sympathy for parents who have children and it gets a little hectic, right? You got to go on walks and they're off on the side and stuff. I sympathize with that. But leading by example on that and starting small. So getting out and going on walks, exercising and stuff is not necessarily how I would recommend going about it. Kids are not going to look at exercise.
This is fun.
Yeah, no. Maybe about 13, 14, they might start thinking about it differently and stuff.
Okay, right.
Through athletics, if they're into sports, it might be a little different. But like, hey, let's go do push-ups. Nah. Really, it's going to be, hey, let's go on a walk. What's that over there in the water? Just doing random things. And the cool thing about it, and what I'm trying to find good ways to vocalize is exercise, and we kind of personally know this, isn't just about the body and how we look,
Right.
but it's about us having something that we can do, kind of pushing that stone. And sometimes, even if it's a good workout, a bad workout, just doing the thing is beneficial. Then you go even on the systemic level, or down deep in all of the hormonal benefits, the positive mental benefits.
I like that part
and
of
it's
it,
like
man.
it's like taking your vitamins.
Right.
And what's happened is back in the day, back in the old times, we used to have more natural physical movement. And we
Exactly.
didn't need to exercise as much.
Correct.
As the uptick of, we can blame technologies and things, but as that upticks, we're not naturally needed to move around as much. So we're going to need to manually insert that into our lives. And that's why people say, they go to the gym all the time and stuff. We don't have to do it with that way. If you, and what it's starting to get nicer out here in Anchorage. We're in our springtime. I'm going to confidently say,
Come on.
and it's that time, getting out into your yard, walking around, standing in the sun. It might seem like a silly thing, asking your kid to come out and just, hey, let's go for a walk. Those little things will lead to bigger, hey, let's go on a camping trip. Hey, I'm really liking going out and watching the animals and stuff. Let's go down to the beach. It will turn into something. But it's hard, just like with exercise, to go, I'm going to start at level 2.
Right.
We have to start at level 1. And it will be best is if you lead by example with it. Hey, I'm going to start going on walks. Hey, little Jimmy, do you want to come with me?
See, that's so important because, I got kids and they don't feel like doing stuff sometimes, and they're artists, and that's cool. They love
I know.
drawing and
Yeah.
painting, and that's great. And to be able to encourage them to get out, and like you're saying, even if I go for a walk and say, hey, would you come with me? Even if they don't go, it's still that reminder, and they still get to lead by example. One thing I was thinking about was, like you're saying, there are more benefits to working out than just a big, strong body.
Yeah.
And, I teach martial arts on the side, and one of my students is amazed with even driving. His driving reaction time has gotten better. When he going biking, he almost spilled, but he corrected himself in a manner that saved himself from being hurt.
Yeah.
And that, to me, I didn't really realize that part of it, where naturally when you are healthier, your body functions and moves better. What are some of the benefits your clients have gotten? And, I just want to get a scope for you. I'm sure you've worked with all types of people who maybe want to do weight loss, to people who want to get buff. So what are some of the benefits that your people have experienced from moving more and being more active and doing your program?
Definitely. That's a really good question. Now, my clients I've found over the last 5 years working since 2020 do range in the 50 to 60, 65 year range. They find, hey, I don't have to go to a gym. I can stay at home. I'm in that retired area.
Right.
So in that, balance is the biggest thing.
I can see that. Wow.
And the secondary to that, and especially my female clients, is bone density. Osteopenia, osteoporosis is a huge problem as we get older.
Right.
And it's kind of like investing in stuff. It's something I don't have any akin knowledge to. If you don't do it when you're young, it's going to be hard to have benefits when you're older. Same thing with exercise. That's why we're getting away from the look at my muscles and going, in my 20s and 30s, I put in a lot of hard work. I was out, I was active, and now my bones are strong when I'm 60 and 70, and I can't get out and do as hard of things back then. So thinking about it in those ways. And then secondly, the consistency, especially during 2020 when we didn't have as much physical contact with each other. My clients that have a consistent meeting time, even just having the conversation and meeting outside of all of the physical activity and things, the mental benefits of having something on the schedule, having something consistently done, even if it was just us sitting around and having coffee,
Right.
just the benefits of that. And for the younger individuals, all of those things are going to be actualized and realized. It just might not be as important for them. A 20-year-old going, yeah, my bones are thicker, may not feel as much needed, but they're still going to be as beneficial.
Right.
A 20-year-old going, I feel really good. They might feel good going out with their friends and stuff, but having those same habits instilled when you're young, it's the same thing across the board.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's a big piece of it because even creating it, there are people who haven't been active for a long period of time, and creating a good routine and keeping consistent, like you said, has the benefits of mental health and spiritual health.
And all too often, the someone that would give you doctors, physical therapists, and they would say, hey, the exercise would really help this out.
True.
And it's a hard thing to go, okay, what should I do? Should I run? Should I hike? Should I start lifting weights? How should I lift weights? I heard that hurt you. And that's where a conversation with somebody like me, not even me, myself, but somebody who has gone an extra step into learning these things, helps guide where, hey, I was told I should start weightlifting for my bones. What should I start doing? Well, somebody like myself might say, hey, lifting heavy and doing heavy squats like on a machine, or heavy overhead pressing, something that somebody might not feel comfortable having a 60-year-old doing, right? Doing something heavy. That's actually what they need to be doing, is heavy lifting safely and heavy for them. So it might be 50 pounds, but,
right.
And doing it, somebody lifting for bone density should almost be lifting like a power lifter. And they wouldn't think about doing that initially. So this is where we should be open to having that conversation. If somebody was wanting to say, I don't know where to start, I would love to just talk with them and say, hey, if you're wanting to get out and hike this summer, if you're wanting to get out and pull fish out of the water, we should start working on this, this, and this. And you can do that on your own with these exercises. And that's where just being open and an evangelist of fitness and health and exercise, that's where I found the most benefit in things. Like even just getting and be able to sit down and talk with you is just by being open to doing that.
Right. So last question, and then we're going to wrap up our session. And this has been awesome. I feel like I've learned a lot, and you're sharing some great things with people.
This is an awesome opportunity.
Yeah. So nutrition. I keep thinking about nutrition. And I'm wondering, can you eat a McDonald's diet and get the gains and still work out and have the results you're looking for? How important is nutrition with being physically active? How much does it matter?
It is a imperative thing, and especially when we think of this conversation, we've basically kind of talked more so about long-term health, not just our muscles.
Right.
When we're thinking of systemic health, I'm breathing good, I'm thinking clear, my heart's ticking how it's supposed to. The quality of food that you're eating is imperative.
Okay. Now,
when we look at, just like the fitness industry, the health and nutritional industry has its ups and downs as well. I don't want to speak ill of anything by any means. It just, there's a lot of fodder out there. There's a lot of things that you have to kind of sift through. Main thing that I focus my clients on. When we start, I am not a dietary nutritionist, so I don't make meal plans. I don't claim to know what's best for them.
Okay.
But what I lead clients in recommending they do is focus on protein consumption.
Gotcha.
Now, of course, that's such a trainer thing to say, get your protein. But protein consumptions from whole food sources are the best, and then making sure that it doesn't mess with your digestion. That in itself is a simple statement, right? And that helps people at least get started with something. And then from there, maybe they can work on other things. But really focus on single things that make a big difference rather than a lot of little things that barely move the needle.
Right. Yeah, protein. And are vegetables a big part of that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, in itself, again, another way of thinking of it is rather than doing less bad stuff, focus on doing more good stuff. Like you're saying, so I'm going to have a good piece of chicken and some good vegetables rather than I should be cutting out sugars. And that's all true. But with our brains and just focusing on being a good human, do more good things rather than trying to cut out bad things.
That makes sense.
If you naturally do more good things, it's just going to push out the bad stuff naturally.
I like that. That's awesome. Thanks, Justice Rowland with KGR Fitness Consulting and Training. And thank you for listening to Active in Alaska. Let's get moving.